is Delilah. I'm a multimedia student at Canyon Hills. What's your name?
My name's Dr. Michelle Scheck-Snyder.
Okay. So some questions I have for you. What are your accomplishments that you've had here?
Accomplishments here, I think there's so many. First, just being able to start my own practice here, buying an existing practice and just making this into what I really wanted it to be. I think that's a huge accomplishment. I've never, before this, I'd never been a boss before. I'd never had to, have a, just the responsibility of all the things that I do here. And so it's a totally different thing being a practice owner, a small animal practice owner, than being just a veterinarian. And saying just a veterinarian is an understatement too, because that's a lot of responsibility too. So the animal doctor part of things, I think, has allowed me to accomplish, setting up a rapport in the community, making a lot of lifelong friends that are clients of mine, being able to really help the pets in the community. Dogs, cats, guinea pigs, rabbits, lizards, turtles, all of those little guys. Being able to help and care for, really from puppyhood until, the last days of some of my patients. So I think I've been able to really be really successful just in the fact that it's a good kind of comfort that I get from being able to be a part of the community and to, establish the well-being here. I think it's really, really awesome.
The perks to the job, and what are some downsides that people don't really talk about?
Yeah. So perks to the job, I think I touched on a little bit when I mentioned that, you really get to establish a lot of close and long-lasting relationships with the people that bring their pets in here, and with the staff too. We're here more than we're at home, and so getting along with the staff and all of our coworkers and my colleagues, it's been a real good thing over the years, to establish those relationships. So I think the people relationships is like a perk.
People and pets.
Mm-hmm. And of course, seeing all the patients that I get to see, and just learning from them and of them, and just getting to enjoy everybody that comes through. Downsides, I touched on a little bit also in terms of that there's a wall, I think, and there's that like headbutting moment between veterinary medicine and what the public thinks of veterinary medicine. Like the reality of it in my world and from my perspective versus what the public thinks veterinarian medicine should be. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of suicide in veterinary medicine. That's something that I don't think most people talk about. There's a group called Not One More Vet, or NOMV. You could probably find it on social media if you looked it up. But that's a big national, I think global now, support system for veterinarians, because there is so much, we're very, very compassionate people, animal loving and human loving people. And so nobody gets in this field for the money. It's not a very fruitful, money make you rich kind of a business. But it is a job that, is a service job that makes you feel good in the end. because of that, it's really hard for some really compassionate people to handle the bereavement that some vets undergo. Some people, express their stress about the illnesses that their animals have in very different ways. And some people get very angry and irate, and they, take it out on the wrong people, and sometimes the wrong people happen to be the vets and the vet staff. And that's not a good mix when you have very compassionate, loving people.
Yeah.
A lot of suicide and that sort of thing happens in our line of work. I don't know anyone personally who has attempted that, but it's a really kind of uneasy subject, so I think that's why it's not talked about very much.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anything about that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Not One More Vet group, if you're interested at all, it's a good one to know about.
What are some sacrifices that you've had to go through, or some sacrifices that you've had to sacrifice yourself when you chose this career?
Well, that would include, so sacrifices that I've encountered would include financial sacrifices. The student loan debt of all veterinary graduates is large, very, very large. And the salaries don't cover the amount of student loan debts that we have to readily pay back things. I think that's for a lot of people, a lot of different types of maybe doctorate degrees or other kind of degrees, but the salaries that veterinarians end up having versus their student loan debt is like this, and so it's really hard to combat that for a very long time. It's a lot of studying, it's a lot of time away from family, it's a lot of balancing mommy life and husband and wife life, and the challenges that you experience at work every day. That can be really hard, and so in that regard, I think that's kind of a sacrifice in terms of you sacrifice a lot of your family time sometimes in order to figure out how to balance it. Until you figure that out, you've sacrificed a lot. So now I think for me it's a lot easier. I've been doing this for a very long time, but I think if you ask some other vets, that can be one of the biggest challenges. Yeah. So this is our newest treatment area, and so these tables, we have 2 anesthesia stations, and so we do a lot of teeth cleanings and little small procedures on these tables. That glassing area, we have some big kennels, we have our bath and our grooming table. We have a groomer that comes in a few times a week. And a lot of storage area too. That was a pit bull-like dog, I think maybe an American bulldog, and his belly was about this big, and his whole abdomen was stomach, and it was full. He just never stopped eating, but he got an obstruction from leaves and dead grass, and we found ketchup packets in there and food and rocks, and I think the thing that initially caused the obstruction was a toy that just didn't move through, but he stayed hungry and he ate and ate and ate and ate and ate, and he was just, he had gotten super skinny because nothing was passing through and he wasn't absorbing anything, but his stomach still was enormous.